Today we're going to talk about the most controversial topic, why APS-C is better than full frame and why it is the most sold camera globally. Let's get into it. The reason APS-C is so globally sold is because what it offers comparatively to full frame is actually better, especially in the past 5 to 10 years compared to what it used to be 20 years ago. APS-C has come such a long way comparatively to the full frame counterparts. In fact, they're almost neck and neck. I would even put them in the same bracket of comparing the two specs. In respect to what I shoot Canon R7 and the Canon R50 V. Now they are APS-C censored cameras, but they're also very similar to their R5 and R6 line counterparts. Furthermore, APS-C does have decent dynamic range nowadays compared to what it used to be back in the day as well. Obviously you can get up to 14, sometimes 16 stops depending on what cinema camera you get for full frame, but also 14 stops is pretty strong when it comes to full frame in general. I believe the R7 can push anywhere close to 14. I think it's about 13 and a half, but don't quote me on that specifically. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is full frame and APS-C are very close. They're neck and neck. APS-C is closing the gap significantly with full frame. And another reason why APS-C is more sold than full frame is simply because the lenses alone are cheaper than full frame counterparts. You are going to be paying close to $2,500 up to $3,000 or more when it comes to zooms and or primes. But with APS-C, the most expensive zoom they have at this point in time that's comparable for the mirrorless market is literally $1,250 Canadian. That's a third of the price of any other full frame zoom lens. With that said as well, the fact that the APS-C lenses have a lower aperture comparatively to their full frame counterparts because you can get that into smaller packaging. I don't know how Sigma does it or Tamron or any of these companies do it, but these third-party companies, A, because they are third-party, are cheaper, and B, are actually moving mountains further than the OEM line. It doesn't mean that all lenses are garbage from the OEM line. It's just fact that you can get cheaper lenses for APS-C system comparatively to the full frame system. There are great mid-tier full frame lenses, but they're not on par with optical fidelity comparatively to their L series or G Master counterparts respectively. Whereas the Art series or the contemporary line even from Sigma is right on par with all those. In fact, most people wouldn't even know because I've been shooting this entire video on APS-C, you wouldn't even guess it. Another thing too is all my work since the beginning of 2026, even actually the middle of 2025 has been shot on APS-C. So be that as it may, it speaks for itself. Also, another reason why APS-C is better than full frame, their bodies are smaller, lighter, more compact, and they do pack more punch. You can actually fit the same amount of specs in a APS-C camera as you do in a full frame in a smaller package. So overall, your lenses are less expensive, your form factor is smaller footprint, and you're not lugging all this extra weight around. So you're not only saving money in your pocket, you're also saving your back and a lot of the extra weight in your backpack. So I'm just saying, APS-C. Now I know a lot of people are gonna say that full frame is superior significantly to APS-C because, you know, full frame is better with shallower depth of field and, you know, dynamic range and yada yada yada, and I get that, low light, all this. But again, if you know what kind of glass to invest in, you can basically almost match what full frame's doing in tandem with each other. It's literally a parallel match almost. So for example, if you get really low aperture, like 1.2, 1.8, 1.4 glass, you're gonna get really good separation and low light performance with your APS-C cameras. Specifically, the lens I'm shooting on right now is the 17-40 by Sigma, and it's a 1.8 aperture. That alone is fantastic. You can already see the background behind me is, you know, is soft and, you know, smooth. It's not obviously 1.2 smooth, but it's smooth, and I like it. It gives you a bit of context of what's going on in the background. But I I'm telling you right now, again, with the more affordable lenses, you know, you have 56mm 1.4 by Sigma. Again, though it's an older model, they've made it for the R system, and it's the same as an 85 f2 or a 1.2 in regards to what it wants to do. And so you're gonna get that same shallow depth of field, that separation for your client work, you know, portraits, whatever it is. No one's gonna know. And it's the lens is like this big. It's so tiny. Like, it's very, very small. It's smaller than my coffee cup, honestly, that I'm drinking right now, which reminds me I probably should have a sip of that. I can't live without that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. One lens I will give Canon that I don't even think Sony's released yet. It's an OEM mirrorless lens that a lot of people's jaws just dropped. They couldn't believe, especially the price point. The 45mm f1.2. Now it is an STM, but the fact that you were able to get a 45mm 1.2 in a small lens, compact lens, at a price of less than $600, people are losing it. Now, yeah, there's optical qualities that are, as people like to call it, characteristic, such as, you know, longitude chromatic aberration, such as, you know, purple fringing, green fringing. That's prevalent. It is in a lot of like high contrast scenes, but again, you can take that out in post. It's not a huge issue. You know, for years we've been all using like these mist filters and stuff, you know, giving a softer image. Now Canon finally releases this, and people surprisingly didn't have a lot of negative feedback on it, considering it wasn't optically perfect, you know, comparatively to like the L series glass. But I think that's why people accepted it for what it was, because it wasn't a lens that was trying to act like an L series lens. It was a consumer or prosumer lens for less than $600 Canadian, or less than 500 in other places. So yeah, it's one of those lenses that you just need in your kit, and I snagged one. I made a video on it as my first impressions, and it is one of those lenses you just need. So comparing that with everything else I have, I have 1.4, 1.8, 1.2, you're getting that shallow depth of field, that separation, that low light performance, the proper dynamic range that you want, that you think you can only get with full frame. Is it neck and neck? No, it's not apples to apples, because we're not there yet, but we're so close in regards to how things are with technology. And again, I state, it is the most sold camera system globally. Not specifically Canon, Sony, or Nikon, or Fujifilm, but APS-C as a whole is the most globally sold system to this day. So, I mean, we can argue all day about full frame being better. I think it comes right down to personal perspective. And if you want to save weight, save some money, but are you still able to get professional results? It's yes. Straight yes. Again, I state, Fujifilm only makes APS-C sensors alongside medium format, but that's for a different niche crowd. APS-C competes alongside the full frame counterparts primarily, and Fujifilm's killing it in that. That's what they specialize in. They make no full frame whatsoever. That's just what they do, and professionals around the world, and hobbyists and enthusiasts, and whatever way you want to slice the pie or whatever in regards to terms, are making money with this. They're using these cameras and they're executing client work. So there's no reason to say, hey, this doesn't work. It works. Also, if you want to talk cinema cameras, the Canon C70 is a Super 35. Now, obviously, Super 35 is a very common thing in the film industry, but comparatively to the C80, which is full frame, or the C50, which is brand new that came out, which is full frame, it's a crop censored cinema camera. So again, there's literally, crop sensor is the most common thing that you're going to find amongst the world, and it is the most sold system. There's a reason why, you know. Again, there's many reasons, as we've already listed. There's no reason not to pick one up. And if someone asks you, well, should I go from crop center to full frame? I don't think it's necessary. I think you just should hone in on what you know with your camera and make the best of that, and invest in better glass over a new camera. So with all that said, APS-C is just as good as full frame. Is it better? In some regard, yes. Is full frame better? Sure. In some regard, yes. Should you jump ship from APS-C to full frame? Not entirely. Not particularly. It's entirely preference. At the end of the day, it's all subjective preference. It's not objective, it's subjective. And if you want to start on full frame, start on full frame. If you have the money to do that, do it. Go for it. Be my guest. If you want to start on APS-C and continue your entire career on APS-C, by all means. I personally switched from full frame to APS-C, and I'm not going back. I have enough money involved in this system, but also just because I just like the simpler, compact form comparatively to the full frame. It's also a hell of a lot lighter with all the lenses. I have 3 lenses in my backpack, and it is significantly lighter than shooting with any full frame glass that I have. So, you know, 45-1.2, 56-1.4, and the 17-40 1.8. That in itself is a fantastic, well-rounded portrait kit. I can do a lot of what I do primarily with it. And to top it off, the heaviest lens I have right now is the 17-40. It's not even that heavy, and it's the heaviest in all my kit. So, be that as it may, more room for other things, less weight on my back, traveling. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Tell me in the comments. Is APS-C better than full frame? And if so, why does it work for you in that regard? But at the end of the day, I built for mine, and mine is APS-C all the way. All right, for next time, take care. Peace.